Hello, everyone, and this is Elma, and tonight I am with Yash of Clientjoy. Now, I just want to let you know more about Clientjoy. So, what is Clientjoy? Clientjoy is one of the best CRMs for small businesses and freelancers, and it's one of those apps that actually help you to acquire and retain clients for life. And this is very important for businesses. Now, there are over 13,000 agencies, freelancers, and independent businesses from over 90 countries that put in less time and have happier clients. That's why Client Joy, and run a healthier business with Client Joy. So that's all. And I want to introduce to you Yash, and he is the CEO of Client Joy.
Awesome. Thank you, Elma, for that introduction, and thank you, everyone, wherever you're joining us. Thank you for joining in. And what I'd like to do today is primarily talk about how you can manage your clients, why it's important, what are different stages of client life cycle, and what is a great what are some of the great tips and hacks that you should implement while you're engaging with your clients, right? And so one of the key reasons why this is important is because more than for a lot of freelancers and agencies, more than 70% of their new business comes from their existing business, right? And so it's really important to give a great experience to your existing clients as well. And so I've prepared a short of a presentation around client management hacks, like just to kind of organize thoughts and put them around. Is it okay, Elma, if I share my screen?
Yes, please do. Please do.
Awesome. Just give me 1 second. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. So primarily we're going to talk about how can agencies and freelancers manage their clients. And before we start talking about it, what I wanted to do was wanted to give you guys a quick introduction of who I am, what is the company that I run, what's been my background, so that you know and you have an idea as to what is the context that I am coming up with when I'm delivering this talk or this presentation, or we are having this conversation, right? And so a little bit about me. I used to be an investment banker who studied mechanical engineering, and currently on a mission of helping a million agencies and freelancers grow, fulfill, and earn, right? And so previously I've owned and ran an IT service agency or a tech agency, scaled it from a 2 people team to a 55 people team, where we offered SaaS, fintech, and e-commerce applications. I've been CNBC TV rating Young Turk, Kairos Fellow, and currently running Clientjoy, which is a B2B sort of a SaaS product, right? And a little about Clientjoy. So Clientjoy helps as Elma also mentioned, over 4,000 agencies and 9,000 freelancers, so total of 13,000 independent businesses in 90 plus countries grow their business and manage their clients. We've had some sort of badges as well from G2, Capterra, Google, Trustpilot. We are preferred integration partner with Payoneer, PayPal, and Stripe. And primarily, the goal of the application is to become operating system for your agency or independent business, right? And so it starts from the time that you have a prospect to the time that they make that payment. Everything that happens in between, you could do that on Clientjoy. And so it helps you build your visual sales pipeline with email sequencing, scheduler, e-signing your proposals, estimates, contracts, getting paid on time with invoices and payments, managing clients obviously with custom client portal, and it integrates with over 3,000 applications. If there's any other application that out there that you're using, you can integrate Clientjoy with that, right? And so that's a quick introduction, right? And so that the idea of doing that introduction is to give you context that, hey, I started an agency, have run a tech agency, grew it from 2 to 55, and currently building Clientjoy as well. And in my 7 years of the agency running business, here are some of the things that I've learned about client management, right? And so these are broadly the topics that we're going to talk about. So firstly, why is client management necessary? Secondly, what is the relationship matrix that you could have with clients? How does the client lifecycle looks like? Followed by some engagement tips during different stages of those life cycle, and then I'll follow it up with some free resources that you could get for your independent business as well, right? So firstly, let's talk about client management, right? And the reason why it's important to talk about client management is a lot of agency owners and founders will focus on acquiring clients, and then we'll focus on making sure that they get paid on time and making sure that their team is working in an optimized fashion and they are delivering efficiently. But they will not focus on existing clients, because most agency owners and freelancers do not realize that offering good services, right? So offering good SEO related services, or even management services, or design, or UI UX, or tech services, or photography services, whatever the case is, whatever services that you're offering good services, that is a necessary condition for your success, but it's not sufficient, right? So you have to be great at the services that you're offering, but client management is a key part of it to make sure that you succeed and you're able to grow your business. And I'm not talking about ambitious growth, right? I'm primarily talking about growth that offers you peace of mind, growth that enables you to build predictable revenue, growth that enables you to build a healthy business that you wake up and you want to go to, right? And so that's the primary reason why we want to talk about client management, right? And now, one of the things that I want you to do is I'm going to talk about a couple of scenarios. And wherever you're watching this, comment yes in the comment box below if any of those 6 scenarios have happened with you as well, right? And so these are some of the things that have happened with me, and these I think illustrate the importance of client management really, really well. So on the day that you're sharing a proposal with a potential client, the conversation is on the lines of, we need to finish this project in 2 weeks, right? And it's been 3 months, but 3 months later also, they're just waiting for internal approvals. So something like this happens because the internal teams were asked to get as many proposals as possible, as quickly as possible, at the cost of better understanding of scope of the services that were to be offered, right? And so this happens with agency owners all the time, that whenever there's a client who's looking to for some services, they would want at least 5, 6, 7 different quotes, estimates, and proposals from different agencies and freelancers, and they've not yet made a decision internally, right? The second scenario, again, let us know in the comments if this has happened with you. So while you're discussing next engagement, right, the question comes up in the meeting: shouldn't this have been covered in a previous scope of work already? And so this happens a lot of times. I see a lot of specific example that comes to mind is whenever a person who's working on SEO is engaging with a client, is a freelancer who's working on SEO, is engaging with a client, and when they're talking about, so they've done some amount of on-page optimization, and then now they're talking about off-page, and the client would say, hey, while they're talking about the off-page optimization, which is the next phase of engagement, they'd say, shouldn't this have been covered in previous scope of work already? And so that primarily happens because the scope document, proposal, contract, whatever it is that you signed, was not clear on the definitions and interpretations of certain terms, right? And key stakeholders were not clear. The third scenario is, and this is also something that happens all the time, is while you're discussing timelines, they'd say, hey, instead of 4 people in 3 months, can you put 12 people and finish it in 1 month, right? And because we only actually have 3 weeks, to be honest, right? And so this typically happens because the client was not appraised on the way services are offered. Stakeholder management happened really poorly. And so whenever I come across, now I don't come across this, but whenever I used to come across something like this, I had a really cool answer to this. So whenever someone would say that, hey, we want to build this mobile application, and instead of having 4 people work on it for 3 months, can you put just 12 people and finish it in 1 month, or 6 people finish it in 2 months, or something like that? My staple answer would be, can you have 9 women give birth to a baby in a month, right? So, so, so that's what I'd say, right? So baby needs 9 months in terms of gestation and growth before it's ready to be born into the world, and so there's some amount of services that can only happen over a period of time, right? So the fifth one is 15 days after your SEO engagement begins, they'd say, why are we not ranking #1 on Google yet? Right? And so expectation management of client was not done properly. Or whoever the person was that was doing sales, they overpromised, right? And then the last one is on the day when the invoice is due, and when you reach out, manually trying to kind of remind them of the due invoice, they'd say, could you share that invoice with us again? Maybe we missed it in the email, right? And so the scheduling, tracking of invoicing was not done. Automated follow-ups were not set up. On the due date of the invoice, you should have received the payment, ideally before the due date. But so again, comment yes, and tell us your scenario in the comments if any of these 6 things or any other thing that has happened with you in your client management journey as well. And so my primary goal of sharing these 5-6 different scenarios was to highlight as to why is client management important, and why is client management important at different stages, right? At pre-sales, sales, fulfillment, as well as when you're raising your invoice, right? And so this just last one, sorry, I forgot, which is while a client is giving you feedback on your design, it just says, the client would say this graphic is good, but it doesn't give me the aha moment, right? And so that sort of also happens. And so that's why client management is important. It's important to remember that the client is not always right. They have to be managed, trained, and taught, and you have to do all of that without them finding out about it, without them knowing it as well. And that's primarily how Nick Fury managed the Avengers, right? If you think about it, if you've seen Avengers, the whole franchise from start to finish, you'll see that Nick Fury has been managing the Avengers in a way that they don't really find out. They don't. So all of these superheroes, they have their own egos, and they obviously don't want to be managed. Imagine you having to manage someone like Tony Stark. You just can't even wrap your head around it. But Nick Fury was able to do that, and that was primarily because the Avengers, or the superheroes, did not find out that they were being managed, trained, and taught by Nick Fury, right? And so here's the relationship metrics that I typically share, right? And so it's important that you empathize with clients, right? And so understand what their motivations are and what their fears are, what really gets them out of the bed, and what really gets them to go back into their shell. And it's really important to understand that. And so here's a 2x2, a very simple 2x2 matrix, right? So if you are running a small agency of, let's say, 10 people, 12 people, and if your client is also some sort of an organization where you're offering services, there are these 4 possibilities, right? The first possibility, which is the best one, which is where the decision maker from the client side, so let me just highlight that over here. The decision maker from the client side is speaking to the decision maker from your side, which could be you. And so if that is the case, then what you really want is to be flexible, right? So you want to be, so this is the best, most comfortable scenario, but it is not scalable, right? So you'll never be able to scale if you are always involved in client management and conversation. But it's really the best case scenario in early stages of your agency, right? The second scenario is the second best scenario, is where a contact from the client side, right? So a person who is a single point of contact, they're not the decision maker, but is a single point of contact, is in touch with you as a decision maker, right? And so in that case, communication becomes key, right? So make sure you need to make sure that everything is written and approved and agreed upon, right? If it's a non-decision maker, if it's a contact from the client side, then they fear playing a larger role in this project, right? They fear taking certain decisions, they fear approving certain things or not approving certain things. And so you want to make sure that you always communicate that, right? So the third last is basically where your account manager, so a contact who's a non-decision maker from your side. So your account manager is talking to the decision maker from the client side, right? So this typically happens when the client is small, but your agency is fairly big. So let's say you're running a 50 people agency and you're building like a mobile app for a startup or something like that. And in that case, it's really important that you have enabled your account manager or contact to communicate value, because you're talking to the decision maker, right? And so you need to make sure that your team member is effectively able to communicate value. And then the last one, which is the worst case scenario, which is your contact, but which is inevitable. If you're looking to grow, it is inevitable because you'll have to acquire enterprise clients who will have their contacts talk to you, and then you will also have to recruit account managers who will have to talk to the contacts from client side, and so that is primarily where strong processes come into play, right? So there have to be strong processes, detailed standard operating procedures listed even for edge cases, right? And so this is primarily a framework to look at your relationship with your client, right? If you are talking to the decision maker from client side, be flexible. However, that's not the scalable way, but you should be flexible and make it as comfortable as possible, because this is the highest probability where you'll get references, right? This is where you get references. Um, if you're talking to a contact, make sure you communicate everything. If your contact is talking to the decision maker, make sure that they communicate value. And if your contact is talking to the client contact, make sure that you have strong processes in place, right? And so there's a quick relationship metrics that I wanted to sort of share with you. And then we'll also want to talk about what are the stages of client life cycle, right? And so there are three primary stages of any client life cycle, starting with the time that they are your prospect, the time that they become a recurring customer or make their first payment. The first is sales. The second is obviously fulfillment, what you're working on. The third is revenues, right? And so when a prospect or a lead is at the sales stage, you want to make sure that you understand the needs. You want to make sure that you understand their timelines and their budgets, and you clearly highlight your value and value addition, and how why this is the correct fit, right? And so these are the times when you exchange most amount of assets from your side with the client side, and you want to make sure that all the documents, proposals, quotes, estimates, contracts, whatever it is that you're sharing with them, you highlight that this is the value addition, and this is why it's a correct fit, right? So this proposal, so why will this project be success for that client if this project is given to you, right? And then the second stage obviously is once you onboard the client, you have fulfillment, and so you want to make sure that you deliver what you've promised, and you want to make sure that you on those deliverables, so you to do those deliverables on or before they were promised, right? I cannot emphasize this enough, that just by the simple act of meeting the timelines that you commit to and not committing to the timelines that your client pressurizes you to commit to, which is something that we'll talk about in a bit. Just by doing these two key things, you'll offer an amazing client experience, right? And the third part is revenues, right? So revenues, it's not as simple as just raising invoice. One of the things that I've realized is that cash flow and not profitability is the king as far as running an agency, right? And so one of the things that would happen with us is that while we were scaling from 2 people to 55 people, and that happened over a period of 3 years, we'd very often we'd find ourselves in a position where if you look at the agency's performance across the whole year, it was profitable and was a really healthy profit. But there were a couple of instances during that whole year, during those 12 months, when we didn't have money to pay our staff, right? And so if you look at it from 1st Jan to 31st December, you're profitable. But then there's 1st of July, or there's 1st of September, when you didn't have enough funds to pay your staff, right? And so why could that happen? So that's because we did not plan our revenue realizations in a way. So there were larger chunks of cash that were coming in when we didn't really need it as much. And so cash flow planning is super important, right? And so the three stages of client life cycle, and also obviously aligning that with clients cash flow planning as well, right? And so we'll look through each of these three one after the other. So the first one is during sales or pre-fulfillment. Here one of the things that I've learned is stop over promising, right? So your no should be your default position. So if you're not sure, if you're not absolutely sure, the answer should either be no or let me get back to you on this, right? You never say yes, you never commit, you never come under pressure no matter what happens. This should be your default position, right? And so when I say that you should be sure, I don't mean you can be kind of sure. I mean absolutely sure. You have to absolutely sure to say yes. So the first key tip is have subtle nudges in your conversations. So in your conversations, talk about how you handled similar clients in similar situations for similar projects previously, right? So while you're talking to them, just instead of selling what you are offering, just talk about your experience of doing this previously, right? And that works like a charm. The other key thing is communicate value over delivery, right? So deliver whatever it is that you're promised, but when you are coming and figuring out the cost component of it all, add a couple of things on top of it that act as cherry on the cake, right? So that kind of act as the delight, right? And so share with them as to what other things apart from scope of work are you going to offer as a part of this arrangement, right? So scope of work is okay, but a couple of other things that you can do as well that other agency owners or freelancers might not be willing to do or might not be capable to offer as well. And the third is post engagement. So once they say yes or once they show interest, ask as much questions as possible, right? So talk about what happens once the engagement is over. Think about the project from their standpoint, right? So how are they thinking about this project? What are their go live dates for whatever it is that they are engaging you with, right? So don't just be concerned with your engagement. Think about it from their perspective, right? From their shoes. And I've also realized that the best meetings that you have with clients is where you talk only 15 or 20% of the time. They talk 80% of the time, right? And a great way to ensure that is asking open-ended questions, right? So not asking questions that have a yes or no answer. Just ask open-ended questions. So something as simple as this, right? So instead of saying that, isn't the weather nice today, or do you like sunny weather, or something like that, which has a yes or a no answer. You may want to ask an open-ended question, like, what do you think when the weather is sunny, right? And so then they actually share. I mean, I'm not telling you to ask about the weather, but you get my point, right? So you, instead of asking a question that is a yes or no answer, you want to ask a question that has an open-ended answer, and then you can have more and more and longer conversation, and then understand their psyche, understand where they are coming from, right? And again, in fulfillment also, and again, I cannot say this enough, stop over promising, make know your default position, right? There are three key things about fulfillment. So when your client is in the fulfillment stage, once they move from the sales stage to the fulfillment stage, here are some of the three things that you want to do, right? So you want to offer them real-time automatic updates, right? So use project management platforms, integrations, that clients stay in the know as to what is going on, right? So an example is, instead of sending out an Excel sheet with a weekly report of how many, what was the engagement rate on social media that you're handling for your client, just give them link to a report that is real time with Google Data Studio, right? And then integrate that with your social media platforms, and then make that as a part of process. So at any point of time, if they want to know what's happening, they can just click on the link and get the answer. The second is highlight changes, right? If you're working on a fixed cost model, or if you're working on a scope of work, then clearly highlight if there are any changes in the scope. Take time to explain why they are considered changes. And even if you are absorbing it for free, even if for whatever reason, one, you should not absorb them for free, but in case if the circumstances are such that you're absorbing them for free, then also clarify and highlight why these are the changes, if you're working on a fixed cost model, or a scope of work model. The last part about fulfillment is you must be paranoid about support, right? And so support just means staying available for them, right? So most of the times clients just want quick answers to simple questions. So these are questions that Google could answer for them, right? But they want you to answer it, because you'll be able to offer them more context, and in some cases the clients trust you more as well. And so they want quick answers to simple questions, and so stay available. What we would do when we were running the agency was we would make sure, and we would be available even when we were on our holidays, or having our family time, or over the weekends. We would be available to share with them that we are not available right now, right? So if the client calls, we pick up the call, and we tell them that, hey, this is not the right time, let me get back to you on this particular day, right? And so make sure that the client call should not go unanswered, right? And so that's kind of a one of the things that you want to do during your fulfillment as well. And then moving to the last part, which is during revenue realization, or getting the cash coming in. And so here you want to empathize with your clients, obviously, but not at your cost, right? And so you want to deal differently. You don't want to have an agency wide process that applies to all clients. All clients are really different. So we've had the opportunity to work with Indian clients, and US based clients, and Europe based clients, and Middle East based clients as well. And there's a huge difference in the psyche of all of these clients, right? Even just basis on the location. Forget about the industry, forget about their age, forget about how inclined are they for your services. It's very, very different. And so you don't want to set one process for each and every client. You want to make sure that you're dealing differently for each and every one. The second is, as I shared with you, you want to plan your invoices, right? So during sales, you want to share a plan of timelines for invoicing as well, and you want to align that with clients' cash flow timelines as well, right? If you're working on a larger project. And the third is make them in the know, right? So make sure that an invoice does not come to the client as a surprise, right? So you want to make sure that they know that an invoice is going to come to them. That's a surprise that they don't want, right? So just make sure that they know, right? So I wanted to share with you some of the free resources And we've got about 50 not free resources. So just you can head over to clientjoy.io/universe, which is where we've got some resources like 150 cold email templates, 300 plus Excel sheet templates, 700 plus PPT templates, 420 plus social media post ideas, 100 plus invoice templates, and so on and so forth. All of these resources are completely free for you to access. Just give us the email address. We'll send it out to you right away in a couple of minutes. It typically takes for the automation to work, but you'll get it right in your inbox as well. And so these are all the free resources that you could get right away, right? And I also want to talk specifically a little bit around how ClientJoy can help you reduce your turnaround times by 18%. So when we say turnaround times, it means from the time that a lead enters your sales pipeline to the time that they make their first payment, right? So their whole journey through your sales pipeline, from discovery to conversation to negotiation to closure, to signing the proposal, to giving you the project, and to them making the payment, all of these are turnaround times. And so how can Clientjoy help you reduce that by 18%? And how can it also improve your conversion rate by 10%, right? And so that's something that I wanted to speak to you about as well. And so I'll just very quickly sort of take you through what Clientjoy is. And so if you sign up for Clientjoy, you'll be able to manage your sales pipeline. You'll never let opportunities fall through the cracks, right? So you'll be able to customize your sales pipeline, create stages, create leads, create custom fields, and so on and so forth. Another key thing is that once you've created those leads, you'll be able to send out email sequences, make sure that include your schedulers, make sure that your clients and your leads can book at any point of time that you're available as well. So they get your public calendar like Calendly as well. You'll be able to create proposal and quote templates and get them e-signed while using Clientjoy as well. You'd also be able to set up a completely custom client portal that works on your domain, that has your brand colors, your logo, your custom CSS, your custom JavaScript. And you can embed your favorite applications, including Figma, Google Analytics, Miro, Airtable, Loom, Canva, YouTube videos, whatever the case may be. And so the whole point over here is you should stop writing emails to show progress, right? So all progress should always be real time and should be accessible to your clients on their phone, on the web, at any point of time. Also, there's no reason for your clients to find out that you're using Clientjoy, right? And so that's why it's completely white labeled as well. You have a lot of clients, and you can manage all of their clients, all of the activities, all the conversations, emails, meetings that you're having with your clients. You can make sure that your team always has context. You always make sure that you get paid on time, because you can raise one-time split or recurring invoices with payment links as well, with Stripe, PayPal, Payoneer, Razorpay, and Instamojo. We also have Square and GoCardless coming up in some time soon as well. And lastly, you can schedule automated reminders for everything, for your proposals, for your invoices, whatever the case may be. You can schedule automated reminders with email templates that are possible, already available within Clientjoy. And the primary idea behind Clientjoy, it's not like we are breaking new ground over here. It's not like we're building something that this world has never seen. All of these features, all of these things are available in some software, some place, in a lot of places actually. And so the whole point that we're trying to drive, the reason why we are building Clientjoy, is because sum of parts, we believe firmly that sum of parts is greater than parts of the sum, right? If you're able to manage the complete journey, starting from them being leads into your pipeline, to sending them email sequences, to getting booked, getting on calls with them, making notes, sharing files, giving them access to sending proposals, quotes, estimates, contracts, getting them signed, giving them access to the client portal, managing the whole project together, sending invoices, and then getting paid. When you're able to do all of that in one place, then it just makes you act a lot faster. You're much more efficient. It reduces the turnaround time, right? And there are no limits on anything, right? So apart from the number of users, so it's $129 per user for life. It's no subscriptions. You don't have to pay anything once you've paid once, and there are no other limits, right? So you have unlimited leads, customers, contacts, whatever the case may be, right? You can use the code non-tech-techie 15, which I think Elma will also be linking it in the post over here, to get 15% off. This code works on all plans everywhere, even on the future purchases that you may have with us as well, right? And I think that's pretty much it. You can consider joining our community with 1.4K agency owners on facebook.com/groups/clientjoy as well. And we run an agency podcast, which you can check out on anchor.fm/clientjoy the agency show. Right. I'd be happy to answer any questions, Elma, if there are any. I hope
Yes,
this was
there
helpful.
are some questions. Okay, so let's
Uh-huh.
start with the first question, and I'll hide your. Okay, so the first question is, I want to know, has any agency or freelancer ever been able to charge the interest on delayed invoice payments?
So
Yeah.
I have never come across in my limited experience. I've never come across an agency or freelancer that has been able to charge the interest on delayed payments. However, the reason why they always write this on invoice is because they want to make sure they want to use it. So they have it so that they can let it go, right? And so a lot of times, and so that essentially acts as a favor that you're doing to your clients. And so what you're essentially saying is that, hey, this invoice has been due for a month, and you've delayed this payment, and 14% annualized interest is like 1.1% every month, something around that. And so I'm letting that 1.1% of the invoice value go, but then let's make sure that this doesn't happen again. And it will happen again if the client has not paid on time on the first go. It is going to happen again, but then the next time that it happens, the 1 month will become 15 days, because you're going to have the same conversation with them, and then from 15 to 7, and then from 7 to hopefully 0. And so if the client has a behavior of not paying on time, then you can use this to have a conversation that, hey, we let it go the last time, we've been letting this go for the last few times, but you've got to make sure that you pay on time. But this is in my limited experience. I'm sure that there are other agency owners, that there are some agency owners at least who've been able to charge interest, but I've not come across it.
But you know what I do in my business? I actually deal with the
Mhm.
government, and sometimes they have this bureaucracy. Like, they have the money. Money isn't a problem,
Yeah,
but it's the
yeah,
bureaucracy that is a problem.
yeah,
So what I do
yeah.
is, if you pay on time, I give you 2% discount. Can I apply it
Ah,
in Client Joy?
you can do that. So you could say that, hey, if you're going to make the payment, so you cannot implement that in Client as a software, but as an agency, it's a great practice to have.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that has been a feature request, and we're going to implement that. It's already on our roadmap to give incentive to your clients, right?
Yes.
And so you could say that, we'll do a couple of audits for free, or you could say that, the amount of money is going to be lesser, or something like that. You could definitely do that.
Right. So I give discount if, for example, okay, my invoice is due today. If they pay 15 days earlier, they get a certain discount.
Yeah,
7 days earlier, a certain
yeah,
discount. And on time is, of course, no more discount. So I give them
yeah.
incentive to pay early. We
Yeah, for
only,
sure.
because I
Absolutely.
don't see a lot of people practicing that. I see a lot of them saying, hey, you pay late, you get penalized by adding this much percentage, but no one is really giving incentive to pay early.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question is this one. Okay, so how do you tackle multiple level of approvals from the client side?
Mhm. And
Okay.
so, shall I read the whole thing out, or shall
Oh,
I just
okay,
start
please read
the
the whole
answer?
thing. Sorry.
Sure. So the question is how can I tackle multiple levels of approvals from clients? I have a client where there are two partners. Almost every time, everything that we send for approvals, one of the partners will love it, the other will disapprove of it. How do I tackle the situation without causing a fight within the partners? And so here's a good way to go about it, right? One of the ways that we would go about it is where we would make sure that we identify the single point of contact, or point of contact on different things for approvals, right? And so we'd say, because typically an agency is caught between these, right? And so you just lose valuable time in just making sure that those two people are on the same page, right? And um, and so what we do is we'd say, hey, everything that is design, graphic, copies, should be approved by this particular partner from your side, and everything that is, let's say, in terms of QA, bugs, code related, should be approved by this particular partner. Now they can have an internal conversation on their side to figure out who will approve what. But then from my side, whenever I'm sending something for approval, I know that if this particular partner approves it, then it's a go ahead, right? And so I've clarified that in the contract that I've signed, or in the proposal that I've sent out as well. The other important thing, for that you may also want, I'm not really sure as to what is the service that you're offering, but let's assume that you're offering, let's assume for this conversation that you're offering graphic design, right? Because that's typically also where you need multiple levels of approvals. Between different partners will have different concepts of social media posts and what it could look like. So what you could also do is you could set a TAT target, right? So you could say that, hey, once I send this out, once I send a particular asset, if it has not been approved in 5 days, then I will consider it as approved, right? And we'll just go ahead. So it has to be approved or disapproved, whatever the case may be. It has to be approved or disapproved within 5 working days or 2 working days. I'm just saying random number of days. You can figure out what that works out for you. But that's another way to go about it, to make sure that you know that these are the turnaround times that you'll be looking at.
Okay, got it. Okay, so the next question, are there any classic templates to avoid a meeting or a video call that could have been a simple email or a WhatsApp message? Um,
Got it. So this happens. This happens a lot. You go on meetings for things that again could have been a simple email or WhatsApp. Here's what I've not done this. I've not had the gall to do this. But I saw another agency owner doing this. What he would do is there's this T-shirt that's available, right? And so there's this T-shirt that just says that this meeting could have been a WhatsApp, or this meeting could have been a text message, or this meeting could have been an email. And so just purchase that T-shirt, keep it in your office or keep it wherever you go to meet, and just make sure that if you enter into a meeting that could have been an email, you just wear that, right, for that email, for that meeting. You don't say anything about it, but just wear that T-shirt. And a couple of times, if the client does not understand, you just strike up a casual conversation saying, hey, I just got this gift from a friend of mine, or whatever the case may be, and something like that. That's a really passive aggressive way of dealing about it. But I saw an agency, I saw another agency owner do this, and that was super interesting to me. But I've not come across like a proper solution to this, because and so let's think about this from client standpoint. Right? What's happening is that when a client engages with you, they don't think that they're purchasing your graphic design services or your photography services, or your copywriting services. The client thinks that they are renting your time, right? And so they want that time and attention that they've paid for, and that is a separate category of clients, right? But they want the time and attention that they've paid for, and so that's why they don't value their time as well, and that's why they'll have typically longer meetings. But this is one of the things that I've seen happen.
okay, so we do the passive aggressive approach. Yeah. Okay. All right.
You could try
Let's
that.
see. Yeah, let's just try that first and hopefully that works. Okay, so let's go to the next question. We have a lot of questions actually.
Wow.
Okay, so question about the deal. I think we already answered that, but let's answer it again. What
Sure.
is the storage space limit per account, and adding users, will it increase it too? Okay.
So the storage limits are so we start you off with okay. The short answer is there are no storage limits. We start you off with 10 GBs, and then once you we moderate it on our side. So once you approach 10 GBs, we'll add another 10 GBs to your account. There's no storage limit that we've assigned to Clientjoy workspace or for users.
And we do not have to ask for extra storage, right? You automatically
No, you
give
don't
it.
have to. So we've coded it out. So once you so you will not find out also. It's just because it's
Mhm.
this question and I'm answering. That's why you're finding it out. We've essentially written code that says that once a client nears 80% of their storage limit, just double it, right? And so when you're using ClientJoy, there's no circle that says that you've used this much amount of storage or anything like that. You don't see that from your side. We just want to make sure that that this is how it works, but there's no storage limit from your standpoint. This is how it works from our side.
Okay, that's good. And the next question, not really a question, is more of a comment from Sajwal, that he had some confusions before, but Client Joy at the moment is his primary CRM and he likes it a lot. And they release a lot of new stuff. And he hasn't gotten the time to test sequences yet, but he's excited to test it. So thank you.
Oh, thank you,
Right.
Sajwal. It's things like
Yeah.
this. I'll sleep like a baby tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Next question is, can I log in more than one device with the same login credentials?
Yes, you can. However, you cannot have two active sessions. So you can log in from more than one device. My personal ClientJoy account is logged in 10 different devices, because we test it out as well and use ClientJoy to sell ClientJoy. But you will not be able to have two separate active instances, right? So it cannot be that both Elma and I are logged into the same account at the same time. That's not possible.
Okay, so it's also not possible, for example, I'm doing something on, say, on my desktop, and I want to see how it appears on my mobile phone. I cannot do that.
Yeah, you can do
Okay.
that. So I'll tell you what. So you'll be able to do that. So there are certain functions, like so
Mhm.
things like updating the invoice on both the devices at once. That's not possible. Updating the same
Okay.
invoice on or updating the same proposal on both the devices at once, or updating the same contract on both the devices at once. So stuff like that is not possible, right? So those are some of the things that are not possible. Most of the things, if you want to preview it, if you want to see how it looks like, if you want to add a lead and see whether it works on or looks like on your phone, all of that's of course possible.
Okay, that's good then. And makes sense. All right. And the
Yeah.
next thing is again from Sajwal. Now you might have as well to build a power dialer so they can do the cold calls from Client Joy. Do you have any plans for that?
Yeah. We do. So we've identified Twilio as a partner. I'm not sure if some people might know Twilio. It powers voice over IP calling for most software applications in the world, and SMSs also. So we identified Twilio, and for some aspects we've identified SendGrid also as a partner. But that is a little bit away. We have a lot of things that we'll be working on before that, and so couple of them are we are working on bringing in multiple sales pipeline. As I shared with you, we are working on integrating with Square and GoCardless in ClientJoy as well. And so there are a lot of things that we'll be doing before we bring in a cold calling sort of a feature as well. But that is there on the roadmap. We've already identified the partners, and we've started the process of becoming a verified partner with them, much like how we are currently with PayPal, Stripe, and Payoneer.
Wow, that's great. Okay. And that will be
Yeah.
available for all the users, or would that be
That
an
will be
add-on
available for all the
service?
users.
As an
No,
add-on
that will be
service?
available for
Or
all the users. No,
okay,
not as an add-on
perfect.
service. So obviously, so just to clarify, obviously for the minutes and the message credits, you'll have to pay,
Yes.
right? So we cannot, yeah. So we cannot offer like minutes for free, but it's part of your plan, right? So
Okay, that
you'll be
makes
able to
sense.
purchase minutes. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, right. The next question is from Ranveer. And how do you find the actual cost of a project, and how do you make an estimate using Client Joy?
So there are a lot of different methods to do that. I don't think this is a client joy related question, right? I think he just wants to know, Ranveer, if you can clarify, if you're there in the comments, just add another comment. But for now, I think for this question, I'm assuming, so since client joy is not in the business of helping you arrive evaluate an estimation. You can obviously send out proposals, quotes, and estimates, but that requires you to know how much is it going to cost before you send it out there. And so there are multiple ways of going about it. So the first way to go about it is to have a value based pricing, which is where you don't look at your costs at all. You try and figure out how much value will this generate for your clients, right? And then that's and a percentage of that is what you charge. And so a simple example of a value based pricing is where you say, if you're into HR, if you're into recruitment, instead of saying that I'm going to charge you, let's say, $5 for every resume that I share with you, you're going to say I'm going to charge you 8% for every hire that you make via us, right? And so that's value based pricing. So I've already delivered the value to you, and I'm going to charge a percentage of that value from you. The other way to go about it is cost-based pricing, right? Where you say, how many hours, how much amount of effort is it going to take you? What's the good margin to make on top of the effort that you're making, and then charge that from your client as well. However, when you want to figure out what is the so there's no one in this world who can say that this is the actual cost of a project, right? And so it doesn't matter how experienced an agency owner you are or anyone is, you'll never be able to say that this is the actual cost of the project, because cost of the project just varies and depends on a lot of things, right? It's like weather. So there are weather forecasts. You can try to be as accurate as you want, but there will be instances where the weather forecast will be incorrect, right? The best brains in the world, the best scientists in the world, work on figuring out what the weather will be like tomorrow, but then they fail sometimes. And similarly, you as an agency owner also can try to be as accurate as possible as far as the cost of the project or estimation of the project is concerned. But there will be instances where you'll also fail. And so the goal is to make sure that you don't fail at your cost, right? So you make sure that you're empathizing with the client, and you also are considering the fact that it's not going to kill you or it's not going to hurt you in a way that you cannot recover, right? And that is primarily why client management is important, right? So while it is happening, while you are going in the direction of you yourself incurring more cost than what you're charging your clients, you are able to realize that, and you're able to charge for change requests, and you're able to charge for what people call as scope creep, and stuff like that as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next question is how many brands per account can we utilize, can we use in ClientJoy?
So what you call as a brand is what we call as a workspace. And
Mm-hmm.
so the plan that we said is $129 per user for a particular company, an organization. So workspace is essentially a brand, or the sum total of all the people who are working with that organization. That could be clients, leads, team members, all the stakeholders, right? Your accountant, whatever the case may be. And so you can manage one brand per account, and then you can create another brand as well, but that's a separate workspace that you create, right? So just to give you a very simple example, let's say I am running 3 different agencies with 3 different logos, 3 different tax registration numbers, 3 different legal entities and legal organizations, and I have clients who are also associated and receiving invoices from 3 different companies. And even though it's only me who's running it, I will need 3 accounts with Clientjoy. I need 3 licenses because these are separate organizations. So a good way to think about it is Clientjoy works exactly the way as G Suite works, right? So, or as Google Workspace works, right? If you have one company, one brand, one domain, you get one G Suite account, and then you use that, and that's primarily how Clientjoy also works.
Okay, got it. Okay, now this is an interesting question. As the CEO of my services agency, how do I tell my client to stop calling me directly for every small issue or doubts that they have?
I've been through this. I've been through this. I'm proud to say with some amount of success. And so what I would do is let's say if Elma is the client who's calling me, and there's an account manager there, right? right, in the organization to work with that CEO. So this is going to be painful for you for a bit. But what I would do is, if Elma called me with a small doubt, I would not answer. I would answer the call, but I would not answer the question. I would ask the client to wait, and I'll add my account manager on the conference call, and then ask the same question in front of the client to the account manager. And then once the answer has been received by the client, I would then ask the account manager as to why did the client have the answer, and so why did Elma not have the answer to this question already? Why did Elma have to reach out to me? Why did Elma not feel comfortable to reach out to the account manager? So that is one thing that I would do consistently, if as a CEO of my agency, if a client called me. The other thing that I would also do is while so why a lot of times what happens is, when you're selling, you also position yourself as an expert. So the client trusts you and not your organization, right? And so and you cannot stop doing that, right? So you have to obviously position yourself as the expert, and you have to earn the client's trust while you are selling your services. But as soon as that project or client moves to fulfillment, I would then, whenever the meetings happen with the client, or whenever the handoff is happening with the client, I would engineer scenarios where I'd be able to say that I don't know answer to this question. Account manager knows answer to this question, right? And I would very frequently, in the early days of transferring from sales to fulfillment, I would very frequently joke about the fact that even though I run my company, I'm not as knowledgeable as the account manager who we've assigned to the client, right? And so even after that, if the behavior continues, then this is what worked for me, and got me quite a lot of success in terms of getting the account manager on the call as well. Answering the clients, so you should answer the calls, that's for sure. But answering the client's question right there and then might be an incorrect way of going about it, right? So you have to make it clear to the client that if they call you, finding the answer is going to be a little more painful than if they just call the account manager directly.
Okay, so that makes good sense, and I picked up something on that. So thank you. I will use that. Okay. And then the next thing is from Fernando. For everyone to please remember that we have an active giveaway on King Sumo, and the more actions you complete, the more changes or more chances you have to win. And here's the link, and I will drop the link again later after the webinar. Okay, so the next question is, it looks like a combination of multiple SaaS. Yeah.
So
Any comment?
hey, hey, Joginder, I disagree with you here, and I'll say that most products look like broken down version of things that could have been one SaaS, right? So so what I'm trying to say is that you don't really need specialized softwares to do a lot of things. You and that's primarily done so that they can sell you the concept of having four or five, or making you comfortable buying six different softwares to run your business, right? You already have your basic needs covered. And so while we position Clientjoy as an agency operating system, and sum of all parts being greater than parts of the sum, and it's correct, it's a combination of multiple SaaS. But I essentially argue, even internally, when we have a conversation, I argue internally, where I submit to my team as well, where I say that most specialized softwares are actually broken down versions of things that could have been much better softwares if they were able to take care of a couple of different use cases.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Which client portal do you suggest for managing clients? Or is WhatsApp and emails the best medium available for client management? I believe Clientjoy has a client portal, right? So,
Yes. So to be honest with you, this is going to be a biased answer, but I would highly recommend Clientjoy. Check out the client portal that Clientjoy offers. I love it and I personally use it. But again, just a disclaimer: this is a very, very biased opinion.
Right, and it's highly customizable as well. Just to let you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I tried it. I'm setting up my client portal too. Okay, then
Oh.
okay. Do you have any plans to add time tracking with live logging of users anytime soon?
Thanks for the question. We don't have. So here's again. If okay, so let me clarify this. If what I'm about to say, if that ends up changing in the future, and if we don't do that, then or sorry, if we end up doing that, then it will be included in your plan, right? So just to clarify that what if I contradict myself in like 2 years later, whatever it is that will happen, it will be included in the plan if you purchase Clientjoy right now. However, here's the thought process right now, right? So as of now, the way that we are thinking about it is that most agencies and freelancers don't suffer because they don't have a good project management tool. They have there are project management and time tracking has been invented and reinvented, 100 times over, and there are free tools, great free tools that are available. I recommend using Start Infinity, which we also use, using Notion, which we also use, Airtable also, that we used previously, or ClickUp and so on and so forth, and you can use those things for free from start to finish. And so time tracking and project management, task management, that has been done a lot of times, and it's better for us to integrate with them because most freelancers and agencies actually suffer in the sales aspect of it or the growth aspect of it and the cash or the accounting or payment collection aspect of it, and those are the two key things that we want to focus on. And that's why the client portal that we built is so rich with embeds that you can embed anything. You can embed whatever project management system that you're using and just keep it over there. Whatever time tracking system that you're using, just keep the reports over there to show it to your clients and stuff like that. Now, as I shared before, this is the thought process right now. If 2 years later we end up building project management, time tracking, task management, then that will also be included in your plan.
Okay. So next question is about forms. Is it possible to
Mhm.
create a form, embed it, and whenever it is submitted, a new task can be created and assigned?
So as I shared with you, we don't have task or project management, and so we are currently working on forms. Forms have already been designed, so the design phase is over. We are now going to start implementing the forms feature for Clientjoy. But that form is for you to collect leads from your website, right? And so you can put it on your website and have people fill it out, and that will be entered or created as a lead within Clientjoy. So that's what we are working on forms for, but we don't have task or project management. We don't plan to have that in the near future. Again, as I shared with you, if we end up having in 2 years time, then it will be included in your account as well.
Got it. And next, can I import leads from other CRMs like Zoho?
Yeah, you can. It's a 5 minute import function that happens. You can.
And do you provide support while migrating the data?
So we have so we have a plan where we offer $250 for migrating all of your data. So 250 is a different price point, and it differs on. So 250 is the maximum that we charge. Depends on the amount of data and the complexity of data that you have. But we would migrate that data for you from whatever system that you're using. We'll export it. We'll create the necessary custom fields. We'll make sure that all the data, when it is coming into the Clientjoy, it is assigned. It has all the points that they were supposed to have. And so that includes importing your leads, creating your sales pipeline, importing all of your proposal templates, importing your clients, setting up your client portal, setting up the legal aspects of your agency, which includes your tax rates, currencies, and stuff like that. So these are like 5 or 6 things that are included. Again, $250 is the highest that we charge. If you're using an Excel sheet or a spreadsheet to manage your leads right now, then that $250 comes down to $50. But if you're using, let's say, something like HubSpot, where you have created 160 contact properties, and all of them have to be created in ClientJoy, then that's $250. But that's kind of what we do.
Okay. And can I use ClientJoy for employee management?
So that would come in. That is on the roadmap, but it's on long term roadmap. We don't have that as of now.
Okay. And Ankit also say that no limit scares him. So what do you want to say about it?
Why? So okay. So a couple of things that I should share with Ankit, and these are primarily how SaaS businesses is work, right? So typically it would scare me as well if I were not building ClientJoy. So let me share some insight with you, right? We currently serve, as I shared with you, 13,000 odd businesses, and we pay somewhere around $1,000, no, $1,200 a month for our server costs, right? Which for 13,000 businesses is not a lot. The reason why we are able to optimize it in the way that we have is because we used to be a tech agency for 5 years before we started ClientJoy. We've built more than 23 SaaS products before we started building ClientJoy, right? We built those products for our clients. So we don't own those products, but we built it for them. And we've learned a lot of lessons, right? Which languages do you want to build in? How to have designs, how to onboard customers, and so how to go through all of those things as well. The other key important aspect to remember as far as no limits is concerned is that when we say no limits, you will always have certain segment of users who will not use even the basic limits, and then you will have certain segment of users who will use extremely those limits, and then it averages out, right? So it always averages out. So and I'll once this call is over, I'll have to search, but I'll share a report of that Dropbox recently, not recently, about 18 months ago, they put out, where they said that only 20% of the purchased data on Dropbox is being used by their users. So if you purchased 1 TB of data on Dropbox, only 200 GB of purchased data is used, not even the free accounts, right? And so there are, I mean, it's a very long conversation, but we've I'm a as I'm an investment banker, I'm a fairly disciplined financial guy, and I'd say trust me.
Okay, good. And Ranveer is requesting to add WhatsApp Cloud API feature. So is that in the roadmap?
It's not yet added on the roadmap, but it is something that we should do. There are a little higher priority things that we have,
Actually,
but we
where
will
can we
be
find
we
your
will be
roadmap?
doing. It's on updates.clientjoy.io. So let me just
Updates.clientjoy.io. Okay, let me just write it down and then I will post it later.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so on
And
updates.clientjoy.io, you'll be able to see our updates, our roadmap, our idea board. All of those things are there.
okay, so it also has SMS features. Wow, yes.
No, we
It's really
don't.
wow.
We
Not yet, right?
Yeah,
Coming
we
soon.
will not yet. Yes, it's coming soon. So we will be integrating with as I shared with you, Twilio,
Yes.
and that would bring in call, WhatsApp, and SMS.
Okay, cool. And can we add third party tools like sending alerts?
I am not clear on what that means.
It wasn't clear to me. And something very important, add one more code for the giveaway. Okay,
Okay.
so I think those are the questions for now. Okay, it's not up to me, but we can discuss that a little bit later. Okay, so can we do a little bit of a product walkthrough because you haven't done a demo yet, right? Just a quick, maybe 5 minute walkthrough so that they can see how the system looks like.
Sure. Sure. I'll just do that very, very quickly. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, now we can see your screen.
Awesome. So this is the demo account, and what you can do is so this is the account that is synced with my email, my calendar, my OneDrive, Google Drive, all of those things, right? And so it's pulling in data from all of these places. And so I have my upcoming shown over here. So it tells me what are some of the sales activities that I'm supposed to do. I can create new activities, and all the due activities that were supposed to happen with my leads or with my clients that I have not yet completed. They show up over here. These are the list of due invoices. So these are all the invoices that were supposed to be paid, but they've not yet been paid. These are all my expired proposals. So again, the proposals, quotes, estimates on contracts that were supposed to be signed, but they've not yet been signed. And so I have this as my view, right? So this tells me what's going to happen today, tomorrow, day after, and for the next 7 days. This tells me what I was supposed to do yesterday, but I haven't. This tells me, will my agency be in financial danger if I don't get paid? This tells me how to secure my agency's future finances by making sure that my proposals are signed, right? And then so this is again the dashboard, right? So I know that these are some of the recent activities that the leads have done. And so in terms of how many of them so Jared, as an example, opened proposal link of branding package that I sent out. And so I know that these are hot leads, right? And I want to have a conversation with them. People who opened my emails, my proposals, my invoices, and so on and so forth. This is some data on my sales pipeline. I will show you how the sales pipeline also looks like. My summary of proposals, my revenue chart in different currencies, my summary of invoices, clients chat, and so on and so forth. And then these are some basic things that will help you engage with Clientjoy team as well. So that's the dashboard for you, right? Then you have sales, and under sales you have leads. And so leads, you typically have a Kanban view of leads, which is your sales pipeline. And so as you can see over here, this is how it looks like. You can change all the statuses. You can move around your statuses and stages and stuff like that as well. You can take these from one stage to the other, and so on and so forth. So as an example, if I want to go into Gregor Clegane, who's also known as the Mountain, I can go, this is the company, this is the person who's handling that, this is the stage that they are at. I can see all of their timeline, their activities, their emails, any conversation that I've had with them as well. Sorry, I just go into some other lead to show you my email conversation with them, right? And so that might be a little helpful. Just give me 1 second to find that. So as an example, let's say this is the lead, right? And so since this integrates with my email, it will bring in all the emails that all the conversation that I've had with this particular lead from my email account over here, so that I never miss context, right? So I always have this in front of me. All the proposals that I may have sent them, I've not sent him any proposal, or the files that I may have shared with them, all the notes, activities, timeline, and so on and so forth. I can mark them as one lost or convert them to a client. I can also send them proposals, and so all of my proposals are available over here. I can click on a particular proposal. This is accepted, so I cannot update it or edit it right now, but I'll just show you how it looks like. And so this is actually not a rich proposal. This is a very basic quote template. So let me actually just very quickly create a new proposal and then send it out. So I just say test proposal for now, and it's supposed to go to, for now, let's say it is supposed to go to Gregor again. And so there's a lead. I just hit create, and I can pick up from my templates that I've already created, or I can pick up from 25 templates that Clientjoy already offers, right? And so I just, as an example, let's say I just take up this website redesign proposal and I'll use that. I have all of these elements that I can bring in, including text, image, table divider, page break, pricing table, signatures. It's a rich HTML editor. As you can see, this is how the proposal kind of looks like. This is where, if I want, I can get the receiver's signature. All of these yellow colored fields are merge fields. And so as you can see, this proposal template did not say house Clegane, right? It says house Clegane because this was saying company name when this template was created, right? And so on and so forth. So this is primarily how a proposal draft would look like. I can send it out to them, or I can preview that as well. I can again create my proposal templates, create my items. I can also have a scheduler. And so when I say, and I should mention this, when I say branding plus, what I should share with you is that all of these things work on your custom domain, right? And so whatever domain that you've created. So this is basically a Calendly like booking engine that you can create using Clientjoy as well. And so this is the Acme Corporation company. And so as you can see over here, the domain is clients.saasjoy.io, right? It is not app.clientjoy.io, right? So you can customize the domain name and stuff like that in Branding Press as well. You can create different types of meeting links. You can have event information. You can set your opening hours as to which days are you available when. You can collect custom fields and stuff like that as well. So that's very, and this is a very, very quick demo, right? I'll share a link which has a 25-minute demo. My mailbox is something that's just integrated with my mailbox. I will very also show you the client portal. And so as you can see over here, the client portal has invoices, proposals, files, my task board that I can bring in over here as a demo. And so this is integrated. This is actually embedded with ClickUp. And so it's a live project board that is there in ClickUp. I can also bring in a database from Airtable. And so I just embedded a database of Airtable with email templates over here, and we just wait for it to load. We are actually live sharing the screen with the video on, and so that's why it's taking a little bit more time. But so as you can see, your clients can log in, and this is how it looks like to them, right? Obviously, this panel is not there because it is there for you to customize if you want to make changes. So for them, the view kind of starts from here. This is a custom JavaScript, right? This is not by Clientjoy. This is something that I've added for my clients to chat with me. And you can also add pop-up forms and stuff like that on the client portal as well. Again, invoices, fairly simple. You'll be able to see the list of invoices. You can create an invoice and send one-time split recurring invoices. So as you can see over here, this is a split payment. This is a recurring invoice. And so you have all the summary and everything over here. I can also create email sequences. And so as an example, I've created this email sequence called monthly newsletter, which has 3 steps. Occurs immediately, occurs on day 3, occurs on day 6. And then I can enroll leads into this particular email sequence, into this template. And then we've got universe, and just very quickly, I just show you branding, right? And so this is where you set up your branding. So you add your logo, your favicon, your color, your custom domain in terms of where do you want this application to work. You can set up your custom SMTP as well for all the in-app emails that are supposed to go out. In terms of integrations, we integrate with Zapier, Pabbly, Integrately, Integromat, and SyncSpider, all 5 of them. And if you want, we also have APIs. We also offer custom fields, multiple currencies, and so on and so forth, right? So again, this is a very, very short version of the demo. There are team rules and rights, a lot of things that I'm not covering right now. But yeah, so this is a very quick demo of what we are doing with Clientjoy.
Okay, cool. So thanks so much for that. And there's one more question because I had to clarify the question. Okay, so are all the steps tools like requirement gathering, initial product idea, product development, and getting clearance from clients, are these provided inside Clientjoy, or do you have to integrate other apps for some of the steps?
So I am actually not. So if you want to, for your requirement gathering and for initial product idea, product development, and these are very, very different services that depend, right? So a photographer will never have to talk about an initial product idea, but an IT service or a tech agency will have to talk about an initial product idea, and so on and so forth. So you can set up approvals within client portal. However, it's not all of these. So it's not a workflow management system, right? Where you create a task and you ask the client to approve and stuff like that. You can share files and you can embed databases like Airtable, Start Infinity, Asana, all of those things to make sure that you're able to work and collaborate with your clients. But this specifically, I would say no. And I agree with Fernando. So that is Manny from Blue, with the person that I showed for now. Yeah.
Okay, and another question is, how is your ARR?
We are a privately held company with investors. and I am not at liberty to share what our ARR is.
Okay,
Um,
fair enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so that's I believe we answered all the questions. Any more questions? I'm looking at other screens to see if I missed something. Okay, so we already answered everything. That's all the questions for tonight. And thank you so much. So I'll do the giveaway a little bit differently this time because we only have one code. So what I'll do is I'll go through all the comments. So those that ask questions, I will enter in a giveaway and I will do a draw live sometime this week and award a winner.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh
We,
wow!
we, we have one one for today for this session, and we also have next week another session with Yash where he's going to talk about lead generation.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you know that, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And so if you liked today's session, if you like today's session on client management, firstly, do offer me feedback, right? If you, what did you
Yes.
like, what you didn't like, on in the comments, just please add all of that. I'll go and read all of them. As you can already see, Tanmay from our team is already engaging in the comments, and I'll also be joining him in a bit. But do offer your feedback. It'll help me improve when I talk about lead generation for agencies and freelancers as well.
Right. So next week, that's what we're going to talk about. So do remember, um, I'm not sure if we will be okay, because sometimes Melon does something interesting where we cannot put comments anymore after we end the live stream. So if that's the
Okay.
case, I will add another. I will have another post regarding this live stream where I am going to collect feedback from the viewers.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, maybe super helpful.
so and that would actually help us for the next live event, and it's all about lead generation hacks. And just to let you know that we are going to do a lot this month. First off, the very first live we have is with Client Joy in September, and then after that we'll have another live with Growmatic. That's and we have the school or business School of School of Growth Hacking with Danny Flood. And then we are going to get viral, not the COVID type on social with White Label Comedy. And that will be all in September. Okay, so thanks a lot, guys. And I'm going to do a live draw for the giveaway this week, and I'll go through all the comments. And I would love to have comments. So even the comments after the live stream, I will read everything, and I will choose a winner from there. Okay, so please do give us a feedback. That would be really awesome, and it will help us a lot. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much, Yash, and I'll see you again next week.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.